What did you get for your birthday? He gets about $40,000 a year. This room gets very little sunshine. I got a shock when I saw the bill. I get the impression that he is bored with his job. He has just got a new job. She opened the door wider to get a better look. Try to get some sleep. Where did you get that skirt? Did you manage to get tickets for the concert? Did you get a present for your mother? Did you get your mother a present? Why don't you get yourself a car? How much did you get for your car? Quick, go and get a cloth. Somebody get a doctor. I have to go and get my mother from the airport. Get a drink for John. Get John a drink. He got a C in chemistry and a B in English. I got this cold off you. She gets really bad headaches. He got 10 years for armed robbery. We can't get Channel 5 in our area. I wanted to speak to the manager, but I got his secretary instead. We got to San Diego at 7 o'clock. You got in very late last night. What time did you get here? I haven't got very far with the book I'm reading. The bridge was destroyed, so we couldn't get across the river. She got into bed. He got down from the ladder. We didn't get to bed until 3 a.m. Where do we get on the bus? I'm getting off at the next station. Where have they got to? We must be getting home. It's past midnight. We couldn't get the piano through the door. We'd better call a taxi and get you home. The general had to get his troops across the river. I can't get the lid off. We're going to be late. Let's get a taxi. I usually get the bus to work. You'll soon get used to the climate here. We ought to go. It's getting late. They plan to get married in the summer. She's upstairs getting ready. I wouldn't go there alone. You might get mugged. My car got stolen at the weekend. Don't get your dress dirty. He got his fingers caught in the door. She soon got the children ready for school. After a time, you get to realize that these things don't matter. You'll like her once you get to know her. His drinking is getting to be a problem. She's getting to be an old lady now. I must get my hair cut. I'll never get all this work finished. I couldn't get the car to start this morning. He got his sister to help him with his homework. You'll never get him to understand. It's not hard to get him talking. The problem is stopping him. Can you really get that old car going again? I got talking to her. We need to get going soon. He got to try out all the new software. It's not fair. I never get to go first. Who's getting the lunch? I must go home and get tea for the kids. I must go home and get the kids their tea. Will you get the phone? He was on the run for a week before the police got him. She fell overboard and the sharks got her. He thinks everybody is out to get him. I'll get you for that. The bullet got him in the neck. I don't get you. She didn't get the joke. I don't get it. Why would she do a thing like that? I get the message. You don't want me to come. You get all these kids hanging around in the street. They still get cases of typhoid there. What's the capital of Bhutan?
You've got me there.
What gets me is having to do the same thing all day long. The time's getting on. We ought to be going. It must be getting on for midnight. He's getting on for 80. I can't get over how rude she was. This line of investigation is getting us nowhere. Being rude to me won't get you anywhere. After 6 months' work on the project, at last I feel I'm getting somewhere. I don't seem to be getting anywhere with this letter. I'm sure you'll get there in the end. It's not perfect, but we're getting there. Okay, get this, guys. There are only 2 left. I'm partly to blame? What exactly are you getting at? What's got into Alex? He never used to worry like that. Your meaning didn't really get across. He's not very good at getting his ideas across. She wants to get ahead in her career. He soon got ahead of the others in his class. It's time we were getting along. She gets around with the help of a stick. News soon got around that he had resigned. I hope to get around to answering your letter next week. He's always getting at me. She feels she's being got at. The files are locked up and I can't get at them. The truth is sometimes difficult to get at. We're hoping to get away for a few days at Easter. These tickets didn't cost me a thing.
Get away.
I won't be able to get away from the office before 7. Thieves got away with computer equipment worth $30,000. He was lucky to get away with only a fine. Don't be tempted to cheat. You'll never get away with it. Nobody gets away with insulting me like that. After the first month, you should be able to get away with 1 lesson a week. What time did you get back last night? We only got back from our trip yesterday. She's got her old job back. I never lend books. You never get them back. I'll find a way of getting back at him. I'll find out and get back to you. Could we get back to the question of funding? I just got back together with my ex-girlfriend. I'm getting behind with my work. He got behind with the payments for his car. How does she get by on such a small salary? I can just about get by in German. Did you get his number down? Let's get down to business. I like to get down to work by 9. It's time I got down to thinking about that essay. The train got in late. What time do you get into Heathrow? The Republican candidate stands a good chance of getting in. She first got into Parliament in 2005. She's got into Durham to study law. Remember to get in some beers for this evening. I got in an hour's work while the baby was asleep. She talks so much it's impossible to get a word in. He's hoping to get in on any discussions about the new project. I can't get into these shoes, they're too small. What's the best way to get into journalism? I got into conversation with an Italian student. Are you sure you know what you're getting into? Don't let yourself get into bad habits. You should get into the routine of saving the document you are working on every 10 minutes. How did she get into drugs? I'm really getting into jazz these days. I haven't really got into my new job yet. He got into trouble with the police while he was still at school. 3 people were rescued from a yacht which got into difficulties. She got herself into a real state before the interview. Get off me, that hurts. We got off straight after breakfast. He got the children off to school. I had great difficulty getting off to sleep. They couldn't get the baby off till midnight. Please, can we get off the subject of dieting? I couldn't get him off politics once he had started. I must get these letters off first thing tomorrow. She was lucky to get off with just a few bruises. He was lucky to get off with a small fine. A good lawyer might be able to get you off. Steve got off with Tracy at the party. He's getting on very well at school. How did you get on at the interview? Parents are always anxious for their children to get on. I don't know how he's going to get on in life. We can get on perfectly well without her. I just can't get along without a secretary. The heating isn't working. I'll get on to the landlord about it. He had been stealing money from the company for years before they got on to him. It's time we got on to the question of costs. She's never really got on with her sister. She and her sister have never really got on. We get along just fine together. I'm not getting on very fast with this job. Be quiet and get on with your work. Get on with it. We haven't got all day. If this gets out, there'll be trouble. Will we get the book out by the end of the year? She managed to get out a few words of thanks. You ought to get out of the house more. She screamed at me to get out. We promised we'd go. We can't get out of it now. I wish I could get out of going to that meeting. I can't get out of the habit of waking at 6 in the morning. The police finally got a confession out of her. She seems to get a lot out of life. He always gets the best out of people. She can't get over her shyness. I think the problem can be got over without too much difficulty. He was disappointed at not getting the job, but he'll get over it. Just get over yourself and stop moaning. He needs to grow up a bit and get over himself. He didn't really get his meaning over to the audience. I'll be glad to get the exam over and done with. She knows how to get round her dad. A clever lawyer might find a way of getting round that clause. I meant to do the ironing, but I didn't get round to it. We got through a fortune while we were in New York. Let's start. There's a lot to get through. She got all her students through the exam. They got the bill through Congress. I tried calling you several times, but I couldn't get through. Thousands of refugees will die if these supplies don't get through to them. I find it impossible to get through to her. The pressure of work is beginning to get to him. I'm trying to get a team together for Saturday. We must get together for a drink sometime. Management should get together with the union. The class got up when the teacher came in. He always gets up early. Could you get me up at 6:30 tomorrow? She was got up as an Indian princess. We're getting up a party for her birthday. We got up to page 72 last lesson. What on earth will he get up to next? She's been getting up to her old tricks again.
Get. Get.
I need to get a new job.
His dad got him work in the factory.
The librarian should be able to get the article for you.
I got the information from the internet.
I need to get some money out of the bank.
You should get some professional advice. If you buy one, you get one free.
Her boyfriend got her a big bunch of flowers.
My parents got this t-shirt for me in Switzerland.
I get all our groceries from this store.
You can get a DVD for about $12.
I got my coat cheap in a sale.
I got your message.
We haven't gotten any mail for 3 days. How much money did you get from Grandma?
Vicky got really mad at him. If I wear wool, my skin gets all red.
Don't worry, I won't get lost. The weather had suddenly gotten cold.
Mom told you you'd get hurt if you did that. How did the guy get into their house?
The gunman told everybody to get down on the floor. It felt good to get out of the city. Colleen got to her feet slowly and went to the window.
Can you get the ladder into the car?
I don't think we'll be able to get that through the door. I can't get the disk out of the computer.
What time will we get there? She got downstairs and found him lying on the floor.
You might be disappointed when you get to the end of the book.
Run upstairs and get my glasses.
I'm going to go get the kids from the babysitters.
Get me a towel, please.
Could you go and get a doctor, please? Bonnie couldn't get the light to work.
I tried to get Teresa to come out tonight, but she can't.
We'll get the TV working again.
Jennifer gets $19 an hour at her new job.
I got $5 for washing my dad's car. You should get a good price.
How much can you get for a house this size?
Tom gets to go to Disneyland this summer.
I didn't get to sit down all day.
I never got the chance to say thank you.
I don't really get the time to read.
The whole thing got me really angry.
Don't let the illness get you down.
Don't get your clothes dirty.
She has to get 2 papers written by tomorrow afternoon.
She got her finger caught in the door. I'm getting my hair cut on Tuesday. We have to get the car fixed before we go.
I got the flu when we were on vacation. I got a headache halfway through class. She gets a lot of pleasure from playing the piano.
Where'd you get that idea?
I get the feeling you don't like her very much.
I got a big surprise when I opened the bill.
We get a lot of rain around here in the summer.
Denver gets a lot of visitors for conferences.
Tracy didn't get the joke. He still doesn't get what we were trying to tell him.
I kept trying to explain, but he didn't get the point.
Okay, I get the message. You want me to leave now. Oh, now I get it. You have to divide 489 by 3.
We got talking about our school days.
We'd better get going, or we'll be late.
The lawyers immediately got to work on the contracts.
He got the engine running.
You know, our conversation last night got me thinking.
As you get to know the city, I'm sure you'll like it better.
We need to get the next bus if we're going to be there by 6. We don't get Channel 24.
Hi. I'm trying to get the customer services department.
Sarah, would you get me Miss Jones, please?
She gets breakfast for all 4 children before sending them to school. Mike's got a wife and 3 kids.
I've got to go to the bathroom.
Val, can you get the phone, please? I'm making dinner.
You're really going to get it when Dad comes home.
Get your shoes on. It's time to go.
I really got you good that time, didn't I?
That stupid dog tried to get me.
She thinks they are all out to get her.
I'll get you for that, you little brat.
Why did he attack him? You got me.
It really gets me the way he acts like he knows everything.
I'll get dinner if you get the movie. That's okay. I'll get it. I'm sorry. I didn't get your name.
And the whole thing only cost, get this, $12.95.
Get you in that fancy suit.
It was difficult to get my idea across to the committee.
The message just isn't getting across to young people.
It's not easy to get ahead in the movie business.
Dave and Vince get along really well. Rachel doesn't get along with Cyrus at all.
Is Sam getting along okay at college?
We get along without much help from the main office.
Well, I guess I'd better be getting along before it gets too late. We'll find some way of getting around the problem. They've hired an accountant to help them get around the new tax laws. His new wheelchair lets him get around more easily.
It's easy to get around New York.
If this news gets around, we'll have reporters calling us all day.
We're expecting more business as word gets around.
You can't get around the fact there are very few stores left downtown.
I meant to go to the bookstore, but I never got around to it. Did you understand what he was getting at? The judge asked a few questions to try to get at the truth.
I could see the ring stuck under there, but I couldn't get at it.
Barry had to work late and couldn't get away till 9. The two men got away in a blue pickup truck.
He managed to get away from the attacker.
Are you going to be able to get away this summer?
I think we're getting away from the main issue.
Get away from it all in sunny Barbados. Students will cheat if they think they can get away with it.
His parents let him get away with murder.
Do you think we can get away with just one coat of paint?
Only Susan could get away with wearing a bikini like that. Jerry's just trying to get back at her for leaving him.
Do you think she's trying to get him back?
I have to get back to work.
I'll try to get back to you later today. I couldn't get back to sleep after that.
I just want things to get back to normal.
We got behind with the rent, and they kicked us out.
The fans were great. They really got behind the team.
He only earns enough to get by.
Somehow they managed to get by on $800 a month.
Do you speak Spanish? Just enough to get by.
He gets by on 5 hours of sleep a night.
Let me get your number down before I forget it.
The new director is making an attempt to get costs down.
They've gotten the rate of inflation down to 4%.
His work is really getting him down. Don't let her get you down. She's just being mean. By the time we finally got down to work, it was already 10. The door was locked, and he couldn't get in.
You have to be 21 to get in.
I'll see if I can get you in to see the band.
What time does your plane get in? Steve just got in a few minutes ago. We get into Dallas around noon. Make sure you get your homework in by Thursday. It's unlikely Coogan will get in again.
They're trying to get the rest of the corn in before it rains.
I want to get a couple of hours work in before we go out.
We should be getting some more in tomorrow.
I wanted to make sure we get your department in on the planning.
Once the company started making money, everyone wanted to get in on the act.
Laurie got into the graduate program at Cornell.
You're so grouchy. What's gotten into you?
Let's not get into it right now. I'm tired.
We got into a debate about the war.
I was always getting into trouble at school.
I tried to get into the habit of walking to the office in the mornings. Many young people are getting into music from the 80s.
I can't get into these pants anymore.
I got off at the next stop.
We all got off the plane.
What time do you get off work?
Shelley gets off at 5:30.
I can't believe his lawyers managed to get him off. He got off with just a small fine.
He got himself off drugs, and he's doing well.
Can we get off the subject of death, please?
Where does he get off telling me how to live my life?
We just got off on the wrong foot the other day.
The day had gotten off to a very bad start.
She got on the plane to San Francisco.
I got on at the first stop.
Dad's getting on in years, but he's still healthy.
How did we get on the subject of eating habits? He got on the phone to his lawyer immediately.
Let's get on with the meeting so we can go home on time.
Get on with it, will ya? I don't have all day.
Then we got on to the subject of women in the military.
When did she get onto the committee? Mrs. Pritchett got on to me for turning my homework in late.
Get out, and don't come back.
It feels good to get out in the fresh air.
We'd better get out of here fast. Get out your books.
She took her violin out of the case.
He got out after serving a 12-year sentence for manslaughter.
I got Sam out of school early on Thursday.
The dog got out again.
You've got to help me get out of this mess.
If this gets out, we might lose our jobs.
Word got out that the band was staying at the Hilton and a huge crowd of fans showed up. I wanted to apologize but couldn't get the words out.
You should get out more.
We plan to get the book out next month.
Dana couldn't get out of the meeting, so she canceled dinner.
Joe tried to get out of cleaning the bathroom.
I'll see if I can get you out of having to testify.
Are you getting anything out of your classes?
She gets a lot of pleasure out of painting.
Dave wants to get out of teaching.
I'll get the truth out of him.
His ex-wife is always trying to get money out of him.
Get out of those wet clothes.
The family still hadn't gotten over the shock of Jennifer's death.
It took him a week to get over the flu.
You'll get over her. She seems to have gotten over her confidence problems. I can't get over how thin you are.
The shot should only hurt a little. Okay, just get it over with.
I was so embarrassed. I don't know how I got through the rest of dinner.
Her love got me through my illness. I couldn't get through the first time I called.
Did you get through to the manager? Get it through your head. I am not interested in her. I want to get through this chapter before I go to bed.
Trucks carrying medical supplies were unable to get through.
Aid workers got the food through to the refugees.
Sometimes it's like I just can't get through to her.
The team got through to the final round.
Don't let him get to you, honey.
We got to talking about old friends from school.
We should really get together for lunch sometime.
Every time he gets together with Murphy, they argue.
Those two should get together. They have a lot in common.
After my husband left, it took a year for me to get myself together.
He can't seem to get it together and get himself a job. What time do you want to get up? Could you get me up at 8?
I have to get up early tomorrow. Tom got up to make some more coffee.
Get. Get.
Did you get the job? We haven't gotten any mail for 3 days.
I got an A in Spanish.
How much money did you get from Grandma? My mom got these earrings for $1. Jill knows a woman who can get the material for you.
Mike's got a good job. We've got tickets for tonight's game.
I've got a lot of work to do. Vicky got really mad at him. If I wear wool, my skin gets all red. The weather had suddenly gotten cold. I got lost on the way to the stadium. Sean's getting married next week. Hurry up and get dressed.
How did the burglar get into their house?
I can't get this jar open. Everybody get down on the floor. When did you get home? She got downstairs and found that the room was full of smoke. The thieves got away. You might be disappointed when you get to the end of the book. Run upstairs and get me that book. She got some money out of her purse. I'm going to go get the kids from the babysitters. He gets $12 an hour at his job. How much can you get for a house this size? As you get to know the city, I'm sure you'll like it better. I didn't get to see the game last night. I have to get this work done by tomorrow. We'll have to get this room painted before they move in. I got the flu when we were on vacation. We didn't seem to be getting anywhere. I started reading the book, but I didn't get very far. I tried to get Jill to come out tonight, but she was too tired. Bert couldn't get the light to work. I get the feeling you don't like her. She managed to get a flight into Detroit. He got 10 years for robbery. Her TV doesn't get Channel 24. Tracy didn't get the joke. I don't get it. We get a lot of rain around here in the summer. We have to get going or we'll be late. Can you get the phone, please? Are you hungry? Can I get you anything? I want to get him before he gets me. It was difficult to get my idea across to the committee. The message isn't getting across. She lacks the business skills she'll need to get ahead. She gets along with Cy really well. We'll have to get along without the car until the new part arrives. There are ways of getting around the law. His new wheelchair lets him get around more easily. I meant to go to the bookstore, but I never got around to it. Did you understand what he was getting at? The judge asked a few questions to try to get at the truth.
I could see the ring stuck under the refrigerator, but I couldn't get at it.
Barney had to work late and couldn't get away until 9 o'clock. The two men got away in a blue pickup truck. Are you going to be able to get away this summer? He'll cheat if he thinks he can get away with it. I didn't get back until after midnight. Call me when you get back to Miami. Did you get your wallet back?
Jerry wants to get back at her for leaving him.
It was hard to get back to work after my vacation. Life is beginning to get back to normal. I'll try to get back to you later today.
They made people pay extra if they got behind with their rent. They made people pay extra if they got behind on their rent.
I know enough French to get by. He gets by on just $800 a month. Let me get your number down before I forget it. Don't let his criticism get you down. I knew I'd feel better once I got some food down. It's time to get down to work. The door was locked, and he couldn't get in. I applied to Princeton, but I didn't get in. What time does the plane get in? Steve just got in a few minutes ago. Make sure you get your homework in by Thursday. The kids saw us playing and wanted to get in on the game. Liz got into the graduate program at Berkeley. He's always getting into trouble. When I was in high school, I got into rap music. Let's not get into it right now. I'm tired.
What time do you get off work?
I can't believe his lawyers managed to get him off. He got off lightly. Where does he get off telling me how to raise my kids? Let's get on with the meeting so we can go home on time. Then we got onto the subject of women, and Craig wouldn't shut up. How did the dog get out of the yard? We knew it was going to be difficult to get him out of the country. Once word gets out, we're going to be in big trouble. She couldn't get out of the meeting, so she canceled our dinner. I was determined to get the truth out of her. She gets a lot of pleasure out of acting. It will take a couple of weeks to get over the infection. Her son died suddenly, and she never got over it. It should only hurt a little. Okay, just get it over with. I can't get over how much weight you've lost. I was so embarrassed. I don't know how I got through the rest of the dinner. When she finally got through, the department manager wasn't there. I tried to explain, but I couldn't get through to her. Don't let him get to you, honey. He's just teasing you. We should get together for a drink. Every time he got together with Murphy, they argued. It took a year for me to get myself together after she left. I have to get up at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Could you get me up at 8? Corinne got up slowly and went to the window.
Get.
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 She got loads of presents. What did you get for Christmas?
We get a lot of junk mail.
We got a letter from Pam this morning. I got it off my dad. I got a few games free when I bought my computer. We need to get help quickly.
It would be a good idea to get professional advice.
You may be able to get a grant from the local authority. He cleared his throat to get our attention. I want you to get some information for me. His father managed to get him a job at the local factory. Run upstairs and get a pillow. I went back into the office to get a pen. Shall I go and get the phone book? She's just gone to get the kids from school. I'll get a towel for you. I'll get you a chair.
Where did you get that jacket?
Joe's going to get tickets for all of us. While you're out, could you get me some batteries?
He's just got himself a new van.
I usually get vegetables from the supermarket.
You can get a decent PC for about £500 now.
It's a lovely coat, and I managed to get it cheap in the sales. I'll get these drinks. My parents always used to get the Daily Telegraph. Hospital doctors get a minimum of £50,000 a year.
He gets £4 an hour for stacking shelves.
You should get a couple of £100 for your old car.
Did you get a good price for it?
She began to get an uncomfortable feeling that she was being watched. I got a terrible shock when I saw how ill he looked. I got the impression that everyone was fed up with us. She gets a lot of pleasure from her garden. You don't get enough exercise. I never get time to read these days. The west of the country gets quite a lot of rain. We might get the chance to go to America this year. I got flu last winter and was in bed for 3 weeks. She was worried she might get food poisoning. I got 98% in my last maths test. The person who gets the highest score. He got 10 years in prison for his part in the robbery. What time will we get there? We didn't get home until midnight. We got to Paris that evening. I got as far as chapter 5. I couldn't wait to get to the end of the book. Where have you got up to in the story? It was disappointing to lose, having got this far in the competition. I think we're getting somewhere at last. We didn't seem to be getting anywhere. I've tried arguing, but it got me nowhere. Get out of my house. We managed to get past the guards. They shouted at us to get back. Peter got to his feet. I couldn't get the disk out of the computer. Could you help me get the wardrobe up the stairs? We must get food and emergency aid into the area as quickly as possible. You can get a bus to the station. I got the 9:15 from London to Edinburgh.
Don't get upset. She soon got bored with the job. He calmed down as he got older.
Eat your dinner before it gets cold. This is getting silly.
It's getting to be a problem. Sometimes she gets me so angry. Don't get the children too excited. He was terrified of getting her pregnant.
It took them 15 minutes to get the boat ready.
You might get hurt if you stand there. Mind the camera doesn't get broken. My dad got killed in a car crash. I knew I would get shouted at if I was late home. This is a question we very often get asked. She got her foot caught in the wire. You're going to get us all killed. Mind you don't get yourself burned. I need to get the washing machine fixed. We must get this work finished on time. I couldn't get the engine to start. We got the lawnmower working again eventually. I'll get Terry to check the wiring for me. We couldn't get him to sign the agreement. In the end, we got the children clearing the playground. I don't think she got the joke. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. I still don't get how she knew about the meeting.
She's just getting lunch.
Shall I get you a sandwich?
Can you get satellite TV here?
Can you get the phone?
The police got him in the end. The other gang members threatened to get him if he went to the police. I'll get you for this. I got you that time. I tried phoning him at work, but I just got his secretary. We got talking about the old days. I think we should get going quite soon.
What are we all waiting for? Let's get moving.
We got to meet all the stars after the show. She gets to travel all over the place with her job. It'll take a while for you to get to know everyone. After a while, I got to like him.
I didn't know you got tigers in Europe. It really gets me the way he leaves wet towels on the bathroom floor.
What gets me is their attitude. And the whole thing only cost, get this, $12.95.
She's 80 now and doesn't get about much anymore.
He's got an old van which he uses for getting about.
I don't really want this to get about.
It took him ages to get his point across. We must get across the simple fact that drugs are dangerous. The message isn't getting across. It is important that we get this message across to voters. She soon found that it wasn't easy to get ahead in the movie business.
We've always got along quite well. They seem to get along with each other. How's Sam getting along at university?
Don't worry, we'll get along without you. We had to use public transport to get around. It's quite easy to get around London. News of the accident soon got around. Word got around that the department might be closed.
I think we should be able to get around most of these problems.
She was always very clever at getting around the rules. I meant to phone her yesterday, but I never got around to it. We finally got around to clearing out the garage.
Why is he always getting at me?
He felt he was being got at by the other students.
What are you getting at, Helen?
Do you see the point I'm getting at?
We had to move the washing machine out to get at the wiring behind it. I was determined to get at the truth. Do you think some of the jury have been got at? The meeting dragged on and I didn't get away until 7.
I like to get away from London at the weekend.
Will you manage to get away this summer?
We're hoping to get away to Scotland for a few days.
The 3 men got away in a stolen car. We knew it wouldn't be easy to get away from the police.
The thieves got away with jewellery worth over £50,000.
I needed to get away from the pressures of work.
She wanted to get away from the traditional ideas of what theatre is about. There is no getting away from this fact. I think we're getting away from the main issue. You need to get away from it all for a couple of weeks. Watch Frank, he'll cheat if he thinks he can get away with it. No one insults my family and gets away with it. Some of those children get away with murder. The charge was reduced to manslaughter, and she got away with 3 years in prison. At school, he had always got away with doing the bare minimum amount of work. The colour's not quite right, but I think you'll get away with it. I'll talk to you when I get back. He got back to the office just before lunchtime. Let's get back to the main point of the discussion. Well, I must get back to work. Have you ever thought about getting back into teaching? Life was beginning to get back to normal. I couldn't get back to sleep. Do you think they'll get back together? Did you get your books back? I'll get you back for this. He'll probably go out with her just to get back at me. I'll find out the prices and get back to you. I don't want to get behind with my work. You can always catch up later if you get behind. The crowd really got behind them and cheered them on. I don't earn a huge salary, but we get by. Sometimes they had to get by on very little. His lack of social life was beginning to get him down. He was followed by a group of reporters trying to get down every word he said. It's important to get things down on paper. I knew I'd feel better once I'd got some food down. Get that tea down, you. He still says he's not hungry, and I can't get anything down him. Please, may I get down? It's time we got down to work. We need to get down to some serious talking. I always find it hard to get down to revising. We managed to get in through a window. The theatre was already full, and we couldn't get in. What time does the bus get in? We get into Heathrow at 10 o'clock. We didn't get in until late. What time do the boys get in from school? The Conservatives have promised to increase spending on health and education if they get in. I applied to Bristol University, but I didn't get in. I must remember to get some food in for the weekend. The whole village was involved with getting the harvest in. We'll have to get a plumber in. Please, can you get your essays in by Thursday? It's best to get your insurance claim in as quickly as possible. We're hoping to get in a game of golf over the weekend. Quite a few companies would like to get in on the project. The scheme has proved very successful, and now other local authorities are keen to get in on the act. He got in with a bad crowd and started getting into trouble. The door was locked and we couldn't get into the house. What time do we get into New York? He first got into Parliament in 1982.
She got into UCLA.
Do you think you might get into the Olympic team this year? He started getting into trouble at school. My parents were always terrified of getting into debt. She got into the habit of going for long walks by herself. He got into a terrible temper and started throwing things around. How did you first get into script writing? She was starting to get into politics. I first got into jazz when I was at college. I don't know how she managed to get into those trousers. I don't know what's got into Sally recently. We'll try and get off straight after lunch. Get off my land. I'll phone you as soon as I've got the children off to school. I usually get off at 6 o'clock.
What time do you get off work?
I'll have to get this letter off by tonight.
I'll get the forms off to you today. Why don't you get those wet clothes off?
In the end, he got off because there wasn't enough evidence against him.
The police felt he had got off very lightly. If you're lucky, you'll get off with a fine.
Her lawyers were confident that they could get her off.
I went to bed but couldn't get off to sleep. It took us ages to get the baby off. The day had got off to a bad start. Can we get off the subject of death, please? Get off me! Get off those cakes or there'll be trouble. Get off!
He wanted £50, but I told him where to get off.
She spent the whole evening trying to get off with Phil. I've always got on well with Henry. The two boys get on well most of the time. How is George getting on at school? How are you getting on with your essay? I don't know how we'll get on without Michael. Be quiet and get on with your work. You'll have to work hard if you want to get on. I can't get my boots on. Come on, it's getting on and we ought to go home. I realised that time was getting on and we would have to hurry. Mrs. McIntyre must be getting on for 90 by now. The total cost was getting on for $100,000. Will you lot stop messing around and get on with it? She wanted to decorate her room, so I just let her get on with it. I'll get on to my lawyer about this. How did the police get on to him? She was quite keen to get on to the management committee. After a few minutes, they got on to the subject of the election. Right, I'll get on to it straight away. You ought to get out into the fresh air. Mary screamed at me to get out. Get out of the kitchen! Some of the animals had got out. He was determined to get out of prison. It's important to get these people out as soon as possible. We knew it was going to be difficult to get him out of the country. She got out her violin and started to play. We have to make absolutely certain that none of this gets out. It's bound to get out that he's retiring soon. We're hoping to get the new catalogue out next week.
I wanted to tell him I loved him, but couldn't get the words out.
See if you can get out of that meeting tomorrow. He's trying to get out of tidying his room. I wanted to get out of teaching. I was determined to get the truth out of her. I hope he got something out of his visit. Children can get a lot out of being involved in community projects. It's taken me ages to get over the flu. She never got over the death of her son. It's important that we get this message over to young people. I'll be in touch once I've got my exams over. I can't wait to get the interview over with. I don't know how we're going to get over this problem. Once we've got over the first few months, we should be making a reasonable profit. I can't get over how well you look.
Get over yourself. Nobody cares if you've made a mistake.
News like this soon gets round. Most companies manage to get round the restrictions. I know how to get round Chris. I keep meaning to put a lock on it, but I never get round to it. I haven't got round to unpacking from my holiday yet. We got through half the application forms this morning. We've got a lot of work to get through. You wouldn't believe the amount of food children can get through in a week.
He can get through £100 in one evening.
I don't know how we're going to get through the winter. It was their love that got me through those first difficult months. I finally managed to get through my driving test.
I knew it was going to be difficult to get the car through its MOT test.
Liverpool have got through to the final of the FA Cup.
Aid agencies have been unable to get through to the thousands of refugees stranded on the border.
I tried phoning her office, but I couldn't get through.
At last I managed to get through to one of the managers.
Anti-hunting legislation will never get through the House of Lords.
Once again we failed to get the bill through Parliament.
I couldn't seem to get through to her. How can I get it through to him that this is really important?
I'm under a lot of pressure at work, and sometimes it gets to me a bit.
Don't let things get to you. He got to thinking how disappointed his parents would be.
We must get together for a drink.
I need to get some paperwork together for the meeting. He got together a group of local businessmen to discuss the problem. We're trying to get together enough money to buy a flat. He's just trying to get his life together at the moment. He's just trying to get his life together at the moment. I'm staying with my parents for a while until I've got myself together a bit.
The government can't seem to get it together on the environment.
We didn't get up until lunchtime. Get me up at 7, would you?
He got up and walked over to the window. He arrived at the party, got up as Count Dracula.
The men were all got up in suits. We didn't get up until lunchtime.
Go upstairs and see what the kids are getting up to.
What did you get up to at the weekend?